Welcome back, Flair community. Today you are in for a real treat. We have the three co-founders of Kings of Strategy right here on the channel. Now, I've conducted this interview with them and we're going to split it up into three different parts. There's lots of exciting content to cover and I really can't wait to show this to you guys. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with part one, which goes over the history and some of the basic fundamental principles of Kings of Strategy. So let's jump in. So today we're very privileged to be joined by the Kings of Strategy co-founders. We've got Jerry on the left, we've got Rob on the right, and behind the screen, the cameraman, we have Jeff. So first and foremost, it's an absolute pleasure to have you guys here today and providing the information regarding Kings of Strategy for the community.
Thank you for having us. We're excited to be here and share a little bit more about the project. And we've gotten lots of questions, and so we appreciate the forum of being able to kind of do this in a group setting and maybe bring some clarity to some of the confusion or questions that get asked multiple times.
Yeah, for sure. There's a lot of people in the community that are very excited about Kings of Strategy. But before we jump into the details, I would absolutely love to know what gave you the idea. What was the inspiration behind Kings of Strategy? And that goes out to Rob.
Well, how much time do you have? Actually, the three of us at least here, and there's more than just us three that are working on this. So, without, forgetting someone's name, they know who they are. Thank them also for being part of this project. But the combination of Jerry, Jeff, and I have known each other for maybe 20, 30 years, both personally and professionally. We've done vacations together and worked in a professional setting and whatnot. And it was probably first of the year. We kind of gotten together, and I always kind of joke around. Jerry's about 6 months in front of me as far as technology and just everything in general. We were just talking about the crypto space. NFTs were really kind of starting to get going at that time, and just started brainstorming different ideas. Jeff and I, we have a little bit of a background with gaming and fantasy sports. I know Jerry does also. And so we just started talking through just the concept of how do you bring something like that, I guess, to the crypto space. And so that's kind of where it started. We've seen gaming evolve from, Atari and Nintendo's to all the way up to, I guess, Fortnite's kind of the latest, greatest thing. And I know my kids do a lot of gaming and whatnot. There's always been just it would be really cool if you could do X, and X could have been a million different things. Well, as the three of us kind of sat down and we started talking about, well, what would X look like? And can that be made? Can that be developed, not just for the gamer, but maybe for somebody who has a business mindset? How do you incorporate artists into the fold? So that's kind of the genesis of where the whole thing started, at least for me.
If I were going to add to that, I would say I envision crypto kitties with a use case and an income, because crypto kitties and crypto punks were all selling for ridiculous amounts of money, and they're just pixelated art. And so I said, well, it's really the scarcity, the digital scarcity, that's bringing that value. How can we add a use case to that and also an income or a way to generate revenue? And so that's where it was kind of born. And then a lot of, happy hours later, it evolved into, I guess, the beginnings of where we are today.
Yeah, that's nice. Crypto kitties, I totally get that, and I feel like the NFT space, it really has evolved to, like you say, have this additional functionality, this programmability, and it's really just opening the use cases, what we're seeing today, especially, like you say, with passive income and all that type of stuff. So I guess for the viewers, who may be unfamiliar with Kings of Strategy, could you guys just give a high-level overview of what the project actually is and what makes it so special?
Well, again, going back to, I guess, the gaming concept, when we first started discussing it, a lot of it, I guess, games in the gaming world, you have to really invest a whole lot of time to really become very good. I know in our early ages of gaming and whatnot, just you didn't have a whole lot of that time. Or if you did invest that time, there was always somebody better who was able to kind of just beat your brains in. And so you just kind of lost interest. So a lot of games started to go to, I guess, what we refer to as the dynasty mode, where it's more or less the strategy side of how do I build my team? How do I build a player? How do I make that player advance and develop? And then how do you take that player and obviously beat the game, so to speak? So Kings of Strategy, the concept was, how could you take this individual athlete and develop them across a couple handful of disciplines by earning attribute points, which we'll get into here in a little bit. But then also, not just from the athlete's perspective, but those athletes have to play somewhere. So whether it's horse racing, there's a horse track. Whether it's golf, it's a golf course. If it's a team game, you have stadiums and whatnot. So we thought, well, from the NFT side of things, how could then a player who maybe wasn't so focused on the athlete side of it, but also look at those monetary assets as a golf course, a horse track, and how could they become involved by offering incentives to get the players to come race their horse at their horse track or whatever the case may be. So that was kind of just the general idea of the overview. And again, that's maybe 100,000 foot view of what this is supposed to look like. And I'm sure you've got more to add.
I keep going back to the digital scarcity word, and that coming up with the digital scarcity and balancing that with the economics, whether it be tokenomics or distribution models or what have you, and just making it he mentioned dynasty mode, and I used to play a lot of the EA Sports games, Madden and the NBA and all the different, and people will put in hundreds of hours, building their team and making decisions on who to draft and all of these different things for no real monetary reward. And if they may develop really good skills in those areas, but they don't get paid. And so we said, how can we help them get paid, and build a cool experience, in the process. And so that's kind of, I got to thinking, you've got online competitions with the EA Sports and all of the different games. What if you owned one of those players and you could sell that player to someone else that you had built up a lot of value in? And if that didn't require hundreds of hours of time for someone to do, if you could 10 minutes a week, you put in your strategy and you don't have to mess with it until the next week. There's obviously going to be lots of other offshoots of things that you can do on a more frequent basis, but to be competitive in the game, you're only going to need 10 minutes a week, and maybe even less than that. So that was the goal, is economics, digital scarcity, and passive income without huge amounts of time commitment.
Yeah, I think that's really interesting as well, the way that you're almost having businesses locked in as NFTs on the blockchain, and the ability to for users to really put in a lot of hours and actually see something in return. It's definitely a great concept. So moving on for that, there's I'm sorry, did you have anything to add to that, Joey?
So I think we're going to touch on it in a little bit, but in terms of the top level assets and some of the maybe sponsorship opportunities where an owner of a top level asset could even sell sponsorship space in, their track or their what have you, to all of the users that would be competing there. And so if, a golf club manufacturer wanted to sponsor, a tournament or something, then the top level asset owner could potentially monetize, multiple ways. But I may be getting ahead of myself here.
Yeah, no, that sounds great. But something else that's going on with Kings of Strategy is this idea of subscriptions. You guys are offering subscriptions, and I'd really like to know what they actually are and what kind of benefits subscribers actually get.
So digital scarcity, there's that word again. Basically, every competitor, which would be a golfer or a horse or an athlete, can be minted, so to speak, for free on the network. And so a user can mint a horse for free. And let's say on day one of launch, everyone could mint a horse. And let's say 1,000 people or 100,000 people mint a horse on day number one. Well, each week, that horse is going to get a little bit better based on the decisions of the user. However, you can evolve that horse more quickly and improve it more quickly by assigning attribute points. And the only way that you can receive those is by subscribing. And so if you subscribe early, it's much less of a cost than if you subscribe later. And so the early adopters will be able to improve their competitors, their individual assets more quickly than people that are not subscribers. So the subscribers will be allocated 20 attribute points each month, and they'll be able to apply them to any player that they choose, and whether it be their horse or their golfer, and they can choose to split those over multiple, athletes, or focus on developing one, the best. And so that's where the strategy comes in, is each person can make their own decisions and kind of go wherever they feel like is best. And so we've tried to create balance along the way so that competition will flow into all of the different sports. But
yeah, on the subscription piece too, it's an annual subscription. So to reward those that want to take advantage of that, again, they don't have to. But again, as far as advancing your player more rapidly in the game, that's probably the biggest ticket and way to do so. So that subscription will renew annually. But let's say a person sees the value in that and they jump in and they become a level one, or a first level subscriber, which I think is $100 a year, something like that. And then the level 2 subscribers, it increases in increments of 100. So the level 2 subscriber is $200. Well, people for a variety of reasons might choose to, they're tired of playing the game, or they see value somewhere else for their dollar. If that level 1 subscriber drops out, it will bump everybody up one tier level. So just in order of who subscribes first, if you were the first person to subscribe as a level 2 subscriber, when that last person or anybody drops out of the level 1, you then take their place and then see the benefits where your cost goes down year over year. So,
but to clarify, each level does not receive any additional benefits. So it's the same 20 attribute points on level 1 as on level 10. And so level 10 will cost a lot more, but the users that buy in at level 10 will get the exact same benefits that the users get in at level 1. And so that's the incentive for the early adopters to come in and gobble up those lower cost early subscriptions and then be grandfathered in to be able to renew those at those rates forever.
Yeah, no, I really do like that concept. And I feel like early adopters should be rewarded. These early people that are supporting the project and really getting involved, there's got to be some sort of reward for them. But on sort of the topic with the attribute points, so you say people are going to be able to play for free. Are the people that are going to have the attribute points always going to win, or is there some sort of algorithm or mechanic behind the scenes where the people who are playing for free may have a chance to win some of these competitors which have higher stats?
It will be similar to real sports competitions, where if you have someone who's substantially better than someone else from a skill level, they're probably going to win 90 or 95% of those competitions. But you'll have your upsets where the underdog can come up and win, and it'll be using Flair's random number generator to simulate the competitions. And again, we might be going too deep, but we're going to open the competition algorithms up to open source developers. So if there are community members that want to contribute to open source development of those algorithms, we're open to that, and basically each track owner or golf course owner can use their own, can choose their own, so to speak, algorithm, that are approved by the community to kind of facilitate those competitions. So some algorithms might favor higher skilled, some might favor more luck of an upset.
Yeah.
The other is that there will be lower level competitions as well, where users can choose if they want to enter the Masters, so to speak, or the King's Cup, or the local scramble, that you play in. And so the rewards may be lower for the local scramble, but your level of your golfer might be more suited to the local scramble. And so people that are playing for free will be able to receive attribute points each week for training. But subscribers will also receive the same attribute points for training. So the subscribers are always going to progress more quickly than someone that is not a subscriber. But there's going to be a secondary market for these assets. And so once someone has developed a really strong player, maybe they are a subscriber, they could sell that to someone else coming into the game who doesn't want to put in the time and effort to build up a player. They just want to buy somebody and start competing right now. And we've envisioned that when you're competing, your player is not going to improve as quickly as someone who's not competing. And so, as players get better and enter competitions, it's going to allow the players behind them that maybe aren't as strong to kind of catch up a little bit.
Yeah, that sounds great. And, I like the idea that there is some sort of balance as well. And this idea of different tiers, where, like you say, you've got like the majors and the minor leagues where, people at different levels or their own little assets, whether it's a golfer or a horse, they can compete in competitions which are populated by similar level athletes or horses or whatever. So, yeah, that's very great.
But that's what makes it a market, because in theory, the really strong horses could also drop down to those lower level competitions, but they would be, receiving lower rewards than maybe if they want. So it's going to come down to supply and demand, and just competition.
So before we wrap up, I'd just like to know what is the best place where people can come and find more information about Kings of Strategy?
Good question. A good place to start would be probably our website. It has a lot of information, which is kingsofstrategy.xyz. You can sign up there for our newsletter. That'll have some information coming out here in the next several days. Our white paper is also there. Discord is where a lot of the action and conversations are taking place right now, which you can access also from our website. And that's also there's.
Yeah, I believe we've actually got a vanity URL now. So it's discord.gg/Kings of Strategy.
You got it.
I'm sure you'll put that on the screen for us.
I will as well as the Twitter. So, the final question. This is the question on everybody's lips. When can we expect to see the next move for Kings of Strategy? When are the subscriptions coming?
The lesson I learned from Flair is that dates are bad, but we are expecting. I'm not sure when this is going to actually hit the air, but I would say before the middle of October, and I would say that's realistic. So middle of October, we're expecting subscriptions to be available. People can get started minting assets and improving players, and expecting competitions to probably start sometime but sometime in 2022.
Yeah, wow. Very exciting. Well, thank you so much for joining me today. It's been an absolute pleasure. And until next time, I'll catch you guys soon.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks, bud.
Much appreciated.
So there we have it, an absolutely jam-packed interview from the Kings of Strategy co-founders. As I mentioned before, this is just part 1 of 3, so please feel free to go check out part 2 straight after this video. It should be linked above. With that being said, you're more than welcome to check out the social media links for Kings of Strategy below. Thank you all so much for watching as always, and until next time, I'm out.
Mission Control, we have liftoff.